What is up, you guys? Anywho, today I'm going to talk about something that, well, I've talked about before, but I didn't go past my own story. Which, of course, this will be about my own story as well. But I feel like it'll portray to the vast majority of people who have attempted what I'm talking about and or have succeeded in what I'm talking about. Today I'm going to be talking about the aftermath of suicide attempts. I feel the aftermath is the same for most people. I don't even know where to start because there's so many places to start. There's so many angles and behind the scenes stuff that you don't see, that people don't talk about because they just don't want to scare people. But I feel like people need to know what happened afterwards because maybe it'll stop somebody. I felt the need to talk about this after I've seen a lot of people commit suicide. We're going to start with what happens directly after. If you do an attempt and or you succeed. If you attempt and you're taken to the hospital, it depends on how you go about it. If you take pills, they will give you melted charcoal. And what charcoal does is it slows down the damage that the pills will do to your organ. Pills will start attacking your organ, and they need to slow that down so it doesn't kill you. It doesn't overdrive your heart, it doesn't send you into shock. Unfortunately, it did send me into shock. They were too late for me. Well, not too late, but my heart did stop. They revived me, obviously. Still here. Very thankful that I'm still here. But I have a lot to say on this, and I only have a limited amount of time, so let's go. Okay, so after that, I was handcuffed and sent to a mental facility. Of course, that's what will happen. Here in Tennessee, the law is here that if you attempt suicide, you must go to a mental facility. And the one that most people are sent to here is by the name of Valley. Okay, I was sent to Valley for 7 days. I remember people wanted me to talk about this binder right here. This binder is the binder that I received while in Valley. Now, when you go to a mental hospital, there's a lot of rules. There's different levels, there's a lot of rules, there's a lot of things you can't take, there's a lot of things you can't do. Me, I was on level 1, I believe it was level 1. Level 1, when you first go in, is where you have to sleep in the hallway, you have to have somebody go to the bathroom with you, but that's only because you're a danger to yourself and others. I had cut all up my wrists right here. They were from here all the way down. I had taken pills, I had some on my thigh. It was just a big mess. And while I was in Valley, the thing you couldn't do is, we couldn't do a lot of things, so I spent a lot of my time drawing, writing down song lyrics and stuff like that. Like, there's just a lot of things. We spent a lot of our time doing little puzzles and coloring because there wasn't much we could do, and the only thing we could use was a pen. Nothing that was toxic, no pencils, because with pencils you could cut yourself. And then we had to do things such as the MAD plan, SAD plan, stuff like that. If we would ever go back into that mindset again, we would have like a set of rules, I guess you could say, to follow to try and help us get out of that mindset. And if any of you want me to ever like show my plan, I guess you could say, I gladly will. I'll make a separate video about it. We had to mark down how we felt every single day. And before bed, they would ask you, have you had any thoughts about killing yourself? Or have you had any thoughts about hurting anybody else? To the aftermath, after that, when you go home and you go back to school or you go back to work or whatever you do, it will be vastly different. I can promise you that. This ties in with the question somebody sent me. They said, did people's attitudes change positively or negatively when they found out? some people, I feel like they balance each other out. Some people reacted negatively and some people reacted positively. It leaves your parents feeling confused. I can promise you that. They will constantly keep an eye on you. They'll be confused. They'll feel like they didn't do everything right. They'll feel like they missed something, or that it was something they did. They'll blame themselves. All your friends will blame themselves. And I know to some people, they'll feel like, oh, that's good, they should do that. But in reality, and I know there's a lot of factors that go into why people killed themselves and why they attempted suicide. And I know there's just a lot of things that go into it. And when I went back to school, this is my personal experience, my counselor at the time, Miss Lancaster, she had all of my friends, she grouped them all up and they all wrote me letters. I have one of those letters up on my vanity just because it's my favorite letter ever. It's a page and a half, and they just basically wrote until their hand bled. Like, it was just so long and it meant so much to me, and I never knew this person cared about me. And that's what you will experience when you go back. You will experience people that you never thought cared about you. There will be people in the hallway that you never thought even knew your name, and they will come up and tell you how much you mean to them. And I can promise you right now, it is not worth it. Going to that limit is never worth it. It's never worth the pain, the agony, the stress, the money. Nothing is ever worth driving to that point. And I know things get hard, and I can promise you, I know things get hard, but it is never worth killing yourself. Ever. It's just not worth it. And if you ever need a number to call, if you ever need to talk to somebody, you can call this number right here, or you can message me on Instagram, and I promise I will reply. It may take me a while, because I don't get on Instagram that often, but I will reply to you, and I will try to help you to the best of my ability. And it's not worth it. The amount of confusion and doubt and hurt and just what you go through afterwards is not worth the pain that you put everybody through before. And I can tell you this right now. You will have bad days afterwards. It's not you going to the hospital doing that. Nothing is going to help you get out of the temporary pain you're in. And the pain you're in right now is temporary, and it will go away. But later down the line, it can show back up. And I can't promise you that it will get better, because it'll get better briefly, and then you'll have your bad days. I have my bad days. I have my days where I'm like, is it really worth it? Is it worth to be here? Is it worth to do this? Is it worth continuing to do this? Is it worth continuing to do what I love? And you're always going to have those doubts, and there's nothing you can do about that, unfortunately. But what you can do is you can change something up. You can ask yourself, is this what I want to do for the rest of my life? Or is this how I want to be perceived? And you can go and do something to change that. It can be something as little as changing your hair, or changing your diet, or cutting someone out of your life that you think is toxic. It can be as simple as that, or it can be a big change where you want to, I don't know, go on a trip for a week, or go on a road trip and not talk to anybody for days, but at least let somebody know where you are. It can be something as big as that, or something as small as cutting your hair. It's just whatever you think will help you in that moment where you feel like nothing is going right. And it can be something as big as changing your job. Not everything you do is going to be something you want to do for the rest of your life. Your mind changes all the time. And the aftermath of suicide is one of the worst things I have ever gone through. And I feel like most people that do attempt suicide regret it. I regret it, even if I do have my moments where I think everything is not worth it. Even if I have moments where I'm like, this life isn't for me, I'm not meant to be here, I still know that I'm not meant to attempt again. And I know many other people feel that way. I've talked to many other people that have attempted suicide, and they have that sense of regret deep in them, and they wished they never had done that. And I know some people don't feel like that, and I know that, and that's okay. That's okay if you feel like that. But just know that there's so many people out there that care about you. I care about you, and I don't even know who you are, and I know some people won't believe that, and that's okay too, but just know that I care about you. And if I were to hear something on the news, I would feel so sad. I sympathized with that young boy, and I didn't even know the kid. I just knew what he went through, and I knew what drove him to that point, but I also knew that if he wasn't to go through with it, and he didn't succeed, I know he would regret that. And although I cannot speak for him, I have a feeling that that's what he would have felt. It's just a sense of regret. And I don't want any of you to go through that, or any of you to so many babies. And I don't want any of you to have to feel like you're enclosed and can't get help, because there's always somebody to talk to, whether it's a helpline, whether it's religion, whether it's something. There is anything really. You can go and you can seek help. It doesn't matter where it is, it doesn't matter who it is. If you feel safer making videos and venting about it online, go for it. If you feel better talking to whoever your God is, or whoever the higher figure is, go for it. If you feel better writing stuff down and that being your outlet, go for it. There's so many different ways to cope, and I know one of them is bound to help you. Just remember that you always have somebody to talk to, and you are not alone. I love you. Remember, you can talk to me anytime. All of my socials will be linked below.